Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namah, Paramagurubhyo Namah, Sri Madhwacharya Bhagavad Gurubhyo Namah, Hari Om. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama, Hari Om. Hello everyone, welcome back to Geetha Bhashyam summary learnings along with commentaries from Sri Tikarayaru from Malkhed and Sri Raghavendra Swami from Mantralaya. Today we are entering into the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which talks about actions of consciousness, which is very important word because most of the times we do perform actions, whereas it is important to know whether we are doing it consciously, understanding that who is the one who has inspired us to do this, who is the one who is enabling us to do this, and what will be the outcome of these actions. So this is what we are going to study here in the 5th chapter. Before that, let's quickly look at 4th chapter summary. We understood that knowing our history is very important because it talks about our heritage and culture, which is the foundation of building a very strong building, that is our human self, human body. Both Parmatma and Jiva are from Anadikala to Anantakala, ever existing. And then we talked about 3 types of karmas also, which talks about karma, akarma and vikarma. And most importantly is to follow jnana marga, that is acquiring knowledge with the help of a guru. And the ones who are blessed in this life will definitely find a guru. So now, continuing this further, Arjuna, after listening to all of this in terms of karma and yoga, inquired with Parmatma, Lord Krishna, that sometimes Lord Krishna, when you are saying sannyasa and sometimes you are saying yoga, and you are praising each one of them at one point of time, I am confused. Which of the two is better? Lord Krishna takes on this and wants to explain to his beloved Arjuna, and he says that sannyasa denotes to yatyashrama and yoga refers to grihastha-ashrama. This is 2 fundamental differences that we need to understand. Yatyashrama are nothing but the yatis who follow, or the sannyasis who follow, who have left everything in this world and are all by themselves constantly meditating on Lord Parmatma while performing their duties for the entire world by itself or the community at large. Whereas yoga refers to someone who is in grihastha ashrama. Grihastha ashrama means someone who is married, who is having a family, staying along with all their family and friends together. So one who is in grihastha ashrama is referred to as a yoga, whereas one who is in yatyashrama is known as sannyasa. A sannyasin can denounce the karmas and grihastha can surpass the jnana. So this is very important that all of us who are grihasthas, we need to go and surpass the jnana. Okay? Now, he says that is sannyasa superior or yoga superior? The clarity comes here when Paramatma says that yoga is superior to sannyasa, whereas yatyashrama is dearest to Paramatma. Grihastha-ashrama was not, is not and will not be superior to yatyashrama in any sense, right? And the simple reason being yatyashrama is the strong mental ability to detach oneself from every materialistic thing and do complete service to all the society, community at large and surrender everything at the lotus feet of Paramatma. That means sannyasa means denouncing the selfish motives, which is very, very important. Whereas in grihastha ashrama, we often see that we have some selfish motive. Wish I had this beautiful car, wish I had this beautiful house, wish I was able to travel across the world, etc. and etc. Which is there. And therefore, to continue this further, Lord Krishna says that the one who does not practice yoga, that means one who does not perform the karmas, but simply denounces the selfish motives, he is doing so with great difficulty. And therefore, he could not succeed successfully practicing the sannyasa. So one has to learn to denounce the selfish motives but also perform the karmas. One who does not do this will not be referred as mukhya yogi or the main yogi. And therefore, a combination of both sannyasa and yoga are very important for a person to achieve true prosperity, that is nothing but aproksha jnana, and therefore getting into moksha. Here, one interesting point comes, which will put you, all of us, into thinking mode. Look at shloka number 13, which says that Sarva karmani manasa sanyasasyaste sukham vashi navadware pure dehi naiva kurvan karayan. Navadware. This is very beautiful. If you think of it from this way, what it says that if you look at our human body, then there are 9 doors. Which are the 9 doors? 2 eyes, 2 ears, right? And then 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, and 2 excretory organs which are there for us. So these are the 9 openings which are present in our body, which is Navadware. So the one who is able to control his nature and mentally renounce all these actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates. That means we can be happy within ourselves, neither working nor causing work to be done. And that is why all these corporal activities like the respiration, the perspiration, and even batting of the eyelid are subservient to Lord Vishnu. One who understands all these activities of the sensory organs are stimulated by the Lord, he finds calmness, peacefulness within himself or herself. That is the beauty that we need to understand here in terms of actions of consciousness, where our body in itself is a very important part for us to understand in terms of control and actions. Further, Lord Krishna tells that from where does all these karmas get accomplished? They accomplished through Prakriti. Now Prakriti has 3 subparts to it, which means the first one is one has to be very clear that all the actions that we do, including a single thought or that I am speaking now or that you are listening now, is all instigated by Parmatma. And therefore it is called as Pradhana Tattva. Pradhana means the number 1, root cause of all type of activities. Also for each of these there is an owner, what we can say, who is an Abhimani. Here for Prakriti, the Abhimani is Sri Rama Devi, that is the consort of Sri Krishna, and that's why she is known as Abhimani. All the activities carried out by Jada Prakriti, which is subservient to Sri Rama Devi, and who does all these, again remember, instigated by Lord Vishnu. So she also is not Swatantra. Only Paramatma is Swatantra, that is independent. And the one as a Jiva that we are, if we construe that I am the master of all the activities, then be assured you will never escape the cycle of birth and death, which is called as samsara. Whereas if you understand this tattva that I am totally dependent, aswatantra, and only Lord Vishnu is independent, swatantra, and all the things are stimulated by him, and therefore I do perform the karmas. This is a sure short way of progressing towards aproksha jnana. Further, what is the ultimate aims? The ultimate aim of performing all karmas is nothing but to, a form of worshipping the Lord. This is very important. Worshipping the Lord is to please the Lord, and I am least bothered about any self-centered motives. This is very, very critical. And this attitude is called as karma sannyasa, where we are not worried about self-center of ourselves or our motives, and we perform for the good and larger benefit of the society at large. And what kind of karma we have to perform? Its answer is simple. We have discussed this multiple times. Everyone needs to perform as per their varna and ashrama, but with the attitude of karma sannyasa. One who does this becomes a person with pure mind, and such a person is referred to as a yogi. And this, when you reach this stage of yogi, is when you will be able to acquire this perceptible knowledge or aproksha jnana, which is nothing but the metaphysics that you will start to understand behind this whole srishti or the creation. And therefore, a yogi who is desirous of obtaining the aproksha jnana has to also observe one more dharma, which is called as samya chintane. Now, what is samya chintane? Let us understand this through this shloka. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavi hastini shuni chaiva shvapake cha panditaha samaharshinaha, which means that Lord Vishnu is the same inside a learned and modest Brahmin, inside a cow, an elephant, a dog, and even a meat eater is absolutely same. This is the first type of contemplation that we need to get in our metaphysics understanding of our mind. There is no differentiation that we should do on this basis. Treating different individuals according to their competencies is also one of the forms. Finally, one who can treat profit and loss, victory and defeat, honor and dishonor, acclaim and abuse, pleasure and pain is the last form of Samya Chintana. Therefore, what does this mean? This means that, what do you mean by treating equally the pleasure and pain? It is simple. We just distance ourselves from any type of pain, and we should also distance ourselves from worldly pleasures. Like they say, don't give any commitment when you are angry or when you are happy. So that's the normal that we use in our day-to-day practice also. Similarly, if we want to do Samya Chintana, we need to distance ourselves from any type of pain and distance ourselves from worldly pleasures, because we need to understand that if we are going through any pain, it is only because of the prarabdha karma. And what are these prarabdha karmas? So as I told earlier, we are there from anadikala to anantakala. So in our previous births of jivas that we are there are many things that we would have not done as per our varna and ashrama, which have accrued to become, resulting us to bear that kind of pain today. And also, what pleasure we are getting today. Therefore, it is important for us to understand that both pleasure and pain is purely on account of the will of the God, and His will is solely based on our previous karmas, that is prarabdha karmas. There are two other karmas which we are going to talk about in future, which is called as sanchita and agami karmas. So when we get aproksha jnana or the complete understanding, both sanchita and agami karmas are erased, and person has to only live and finish the prarabdha karmas, and after that get into moksha, which is there. So sanchita is nothing but a collection of all the things that we have done in the past, and agami is nothing but the future. So in the future births, that what we are going to get, an accumulation of all of that. And therefore we have to understand that when we are going through pain or happiness through caused by somebody or some person, that is only a nimitta matra. That is just an excuse. They are definitely not responsible for causing us to be either happy or to be sad. And therefore, in your day-to-day life, if you feel low or if you feel very happy, then rest be assured that the ones who are causing are only nimitta matra, but the root cause is coming from all the will of the God based on your prarabdha karmas. And therefore, be careful of how you act and behave in today's day-to-day life. Thinking of these lines, it would be easier for us to treat happiness and sorrow equally. And therefore, Samya Chintane will come naturally to a learned person, by applying this kind of a rule. So to summarize, we should meditate on the God by practicing both the sannyasa and yoga. And for meditation, we need to sit in the right posture, do the pranayamas, that is breathing techniques, and disconnect the sensory organs from the sensualities. More about meditation and the sitting posture is described in the chapter 6, which we are going to cover ahead. To summarize, one must meditate on the Almighty on a daily basis, 24/7, with an engrossed mind. So beautifully put here through this shloka. Bhoktaram yajñatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhradam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantimricchati. Meaning here that a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of the planets, demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, which again shows Taratamya over here, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So this, my dear friends, was what was explained as the actions of Krishna consciousness in the chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita, where we understood difference between sannyasa and yoga. All organs, including mind, work based on instigation from Parmatma through Abhimani Devatas. We understood 3 types of Prakriti. Most importantly, how to do Samya Chintana. Look at everybody equally. And what are the nimitta matras? But the real reason behind our happiness or failure is prarabdha karmas, which are our own. And lastly, meditation on Lord Krishna takes us to the next step, towards our progress towards moksha. That's all for now, my dear friends. I welcome all your suggestions and thoughts, and we look forward to chapter 6 in the next class. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.